Being frugal may be the very thing keeping you broke. And if that statement makes you uncomfortable, this video is especially for you. Now, before we go any further, I do need to be honest, and I need to say this clearly. I do not like using the B word. What's the B word? Broke. I don't use it in my everyday language. I don't use it in my community, and I don't believe in labeling people that way. But today I'm using it for the YouTube algorithm. So hopefully YouTube will pick up this video and show it to more people. I don't know. But because there are a lot of people who have been taught that the only solution to their money challenges or the issues that they're facing is to just focus on cutting more, shrinking more, and to hold on tight, like holding on to dear life, right? Your fists are so tight. And while that advice may sound reasonable and responsible, it may be the very reason that is limiting you and your ability to build wealth, which brings us to the real issue we need to talk about today. Now, if we haven't met before, my name is Stephanie Davis. I am a financial strategist and the founder of Position for Wealth, where I help high-earning, ambitious professionals get clear and confident and intentional with their money so that they can stop just earning income and start transferring that into building real wealth. And to understand why frugality can be a problem, we first need to be clear about what frugality actually is. So here's what we're going to cover today: what frugality really means, how it trains your focus to shrink down instead of grow, the difference between the scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset, and how fear shows up in financial decisions, and how to manage and grow your money without being cheap. And because we're talking about frugality, this does not mean that we support being on the extreme on the other side as well, which could lead to reckless and mindless spending. You don't have to go to the other extreme. It is about reframing your ideas around money, though. So let's start with the definition. Frugality is the practice of being very careful with money, minimizing spending, avoiding costs, and stretching every dollar as far as possible. Not terrible, not terrible. At the core, frugality is about preservation. And to be clear, that has its place, especially in seasons of recovery or rebuilding. But here's where frugality can become a bit limiting. When your primary question is about money, how can I spend less? Your focus stays on shrinking and paying or spending the least amount on everything, which is why we need to talk about the mindset first. If not careful, frugality can feed directly into a scarcity mindset. And a scarcity mindset is deeply rooted in fear. When you have a scarcity mindset, it believes that when you have a scarcity mindset, you believe that there's never enough, that money is fragile and it's limited, and you have to compete in order to get it. And one wrong move could ruin everything for you. When you operate from scarcity, you hold too tightly to your money. You delay opportunities when now might be the time to act, but you're hesitating. You avoid decisions that require you to actually take the risk. Frugality reinforces this by constantly saying, protect what you have because more may not come. And if you sit in that belief, it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that belief doesn't just affect your spending, it affects how you invest, how you give, and then how you actually grow and build. Which brings me to a powerful example of this principle in the Bible. There are so many money lessons in the Bible and biblical principles that support how we should manage our money. There's a lesson in the Bible about someone that had the desire to hold so tightly to what they had that it led to a scarcity mindset. This lesson is from the parable of the talents. In that story, A master gives 3 servants money to manage. 2 of the 3 invest what they were given and multiply it. But the servant who received 1 talent was afraid. Instead of investing it, he buried it, right, to keep it safe. His focus was on not losing, not focusing on how can I win, but focusing on how to be safe and not lose, not on how you can manage this and then multiply it, which the other 2 did. And that didn't end well for him. The issue wasn't how much he had or how much the others had. The issue was the fear and the beliefs about money, which got him in the situation that he was in. When we focus so much on keeping what we have, we don't leave any room to release. And when we don't release anything, we limit our ability to actually receive because it is circular, right? That's scarcity in action. So let's contrast that with what abundance actually looks like. An abundance mindset can often be misunderstood as being reckless or careless or pretending that money doesn't really matter. But an abundance mindset understands money is a tool that we get to master and we get to use it. It requires us to use growth and stewardship. There is more than enough to go around. If you believe that, right? There is more than enough. Instead of asking, how do I make sure I don't lose this? An abundance mindset focuses on, how do I position this to grow? How do I get a return on investment on this opportunity that I have right now? And that question shifts your train of thought and changes the answers that you actually receive. When you ask a different question, you'll get different answers, which leads to an important truth I need to say plainly. Here's the truth. You cannot cut your way into wealth. At some point, there is nothing to shrink or to cut back on. Yes, frugality teaches discipline, and it may have its place at times, but it does not teach strategy. It doesn't teach you how to leverage. It doesn't teach you how to manage more at higher levels. So people become very good at managing fear, right? Accepting that fear, that they won't get anything else. And they stay at that level. And instead of focusing on how can I use what's in my hands to build wealth. And that's another principle in the Bible we'll talk about maybe in another video. And that's why capable and responsible people can still feel stuck financially. So what replaces frugality? What replaces frugality is intentionality. When being intentional, that means 2 things. 1, you're managing your money well, and 2, you are growing your money. Managing money well means spending on purpose and ensuring that it aligns to your values and your financial goals. It means using systems rather than just focusing on restriction and pulling back. Growing money means thinking in terms of what is the return, not just what the costs are. Too often, we only think about it from one side of it. Yes, we must count the costs of any decisions that we are making. That's prudent to do that, to understand what the total cost would be. But the cost should also have a result and a return on the investment that exceeds what the costs are. And sometimes that's not even immediate, but being able to look longer term to understand what the true benefit and return on investment will be. Growing money also means investing in assets, investing in your skills. And that's a good example there too, where you're investing in yourself. That means that you might not get the immediate return now, but who you become now positions you to grow more and to be positioned for other opportunities that you weren't able to do previously. And so we don't want to focus on not just being cheap and holding on to what we have. You need to be clear and focus on What can I do to actually use the money that I have, resources, your time, your money, and to now build wealth? So I know that was a lot, but before we wrap up, drop in the comments below. Answer this question. Where might fear or frugality be limiting your financial growth right now? Let me know in the comment. I respond back to the comments. And if this conversation is helping you realize that you're ready to move from just focusing on not spending money or cutting back to building and leaning in forward to build wealth, I want to invite you to join my free training called the Wealth Blueprint. In that training, I walk you through how high earning professionals move from scattered finances and just focusing on how to shrink down to establishing clear priorities and making confident decisions and a strategy for building wealth in the future. You can click the link in the description to register for the Wealth Blueprint free training. It's absolutely free and it's live. Additionally, make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. I would love to welcome you into the community because we don't just talk about money here. We build legacy $1 at a time. Let's get in position, family. See y'all next.